evening. You are watching Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. It is a Monday, the 5th of May, 2025. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaude. A quick look at stories making the headlines tonight. President Mnangagwa this morning commissioned Zimbabwe's first ever artificial intelligence-powered grain silos in Kwekwe, Midlands Province. This milestone development is part of the country's broader initiatives to embrace appropriate technologies across the economy sectors, with agriculture being one of the major pillars. Stay tuned for details on this game-changing development. Authorities say power supply will be restored by Wednesday this week, as engineers are working flat out to rectify a fault which occurred at one of the country's major power stations, Hwange. We shall be joined by the weatherman for the latest on the weather as temperatures have started to drop. We ask the question, is winter upon us? James Goma will have answers for us. Stay tuned. And in sport, the Green Nation is grinding through gears, and it's Ian Bakala who is stepping into the hot seat, while legend Lloyd Chitembwe is shuffled out of the dugout. In our first report this evening, President Emmerson Mnangagwa today commissioned a 56,000-ton smart grain storage facility in Kwekwe, which will help the country save over $30 million in handling inadequacy-related losses, while pivoting the country towards the attainment of Vision 2030. In his address at the commissioning held at Kwekwe Grain Marketing Board silos, the president said that the establishment of such facilities is part of government's nationwide modernization and integration of cutting-edge artificial intelligence and other technologies to revolutionize the country's grain storage facilities. To guarantee requisite storage, 14 additional state-of-the-art silo depots will be established across all rural provinces.
This 56,000-ton smart grain storage facility with 7 state-of-the-art silos is yet another testament of the transformation that continues to unfold in our country's agriculture sector as we modernize national food systems. Undoubtedly, the numerous investments made under the Second Republic have put Zimbabwe firmly on course to becoming a food secure, empowered, and prosperous upper middle income economy.
Turning to climate change, President Mnangagwa said mitigatory measures need to be continuously put in place. Government has moved to increase the strategic grain reserves from the current 750,000 to 1.5 million tons. The president said over the years, the country has witnessed increased production and productivity in cereals, horticulture, oil seed drops, as well as other industrial crops, along with improved national livestock numbers.
This particular infrastructure here, which we are unveiling today, is timely. More so that the negative impacts of climate change have heightened the need for robust and holistic food security initiatives, as well as sustainable food supply and nutrition measures. Cognizant of this fact, my government in 2020 launched the Agriculture, Food Systems and Rural Transformation Strategy towards guaranteeing food and nutrition security. The improvement of livelihoods and contribution to overall economic development is also at the core of this strategy. Over the years, we have witnessed increased production and productivity in cereals, horticulture, oil seeds crops, as well as other industrial crops, along with improved national livestock numbers in our country.
Now, Zimbabwe's dreams of feeding itself and beyond continues to bump against stark reality year after year. The staggering losses in old and open storage facilities. Tonight we ask, can this latest innovation finally bridge the gap between aspiration and achievement? Our correspondent, Wilson Kakurira, compiled the following report.
Imagine a technology so smart that it can test the air inside a grain silo, knowing exactly when to protect its precious contents. The Grain Marketing Board's Kwekwe Depot, the first of its kind in Zimbabwe, is now utilizing artificial intelligence for food security. And ushering in this new era of grain preservation is engineer Andrew Mopariwa.
The facility is highly automated with modern technology, where we are saying everything is controlled from one central unit. The moment a truck moves in, it's monitored from there, from moving in, from the weigh bridge to offloading and moving out. Operations of the silos, it's all automated. We are going to be having conveyors which can monitor the volume of grain which is being moved in and out of the silos.
The impact of these storage losses has been felt most acutely by the farmers who used to be turned away for bringing grain with moisture content more than 12.5%.
Inini semurimi tiri kufara zvikuru nechirongwa chatakaitirwa ichi nekuti taiti tikaunza chibage kuGMB dzimwe nguva taitodzokera nacho chinzi chibage chenyu chinyoro, saka zvinozokuomerawo semurimi waauya nacho wodzokera nacho, but pari zvino nepurogiramu yavakatipa taakukwanisa kuti tikauya nacho chibago chedu chinongotorwa nenguva. Tatichitambura tikange tauya nezvirimwa zvedu pamba china zvinenge zvauya in bulk, saka tachizoshaya kuti chibage choenda kupi nenyaya kuti chinenge chakawanda. Asi tiri kufara nepurogiramu yatakaunzirwa nehurumende, taakungoendesa masairo kawani chichingopinda zvisina kana kutambura, inguva diki diki chibage chako chinenge chatoenda.
For Mavis Vurundia, a local farmer in Kwekwe, the introduction of these cutting-edge silos brings a sense of much-needed financial relief for farmers.
Kana taakuda kunokuwa takanga tisina masagi, saka mari dzacho dzaitinetsa dzekuatsvaga, apa taakungoendesa chibage chedu chisiri mumasagi, saka hatichisina stress yekutsvaga mari yekuti tiendese chibage ichi chiri mumasagi, saka tazvifarira. Tinongofarira nyika yedu kuti iri kufambira mberi neteknoloji, haisi kusarira mumashure.
Zimbabwe has been losing grain worth over 32 million United States dollars every year due to outdated, insufficient storage facilities. Rains, manual handling, and pests are big factors to these losses. Engineer Mpariwa said a strong strategic grain reserve is not just a goal, but a necessity.
So we are saying there's no more need to have people roaming around. Everything is controlled from one CPU. You can monitor, even if there's a fault that happens, it will send a signal. And the signal you can see on the monitoring unit.
For a nation striving for food security, Zimbabwe requires a substantial 2.2 million tons of grain annually. The coming online of all the remaining new silos is expected to add a total of 780,000 tons to the current capacity of 650,000 tons by 2026.
Now our correspondent, Eben Mabunda, takes us through the bells and whistles of the newly commissioned silos.
Faith, good evening. Well, unlike traditional storage units, the new silos are equipped with advanced technologies that integrate artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things as it were, sensors and automated environmental regulation. Sounds quite complex, but basically AI functions as the system's brain, analyzing data to preempt potential issues, recommending optimal storage practices, and optimizing energy use by means of activating climate controls just when necessary. At the core of the system are embedded IoT sensors that continuously monitor temperature, humidity, grain moisture, and perhaps carbon dioxide levels, key indicators, of course, of spoilage or pest activity on the grain. Now, of note is that real-time data enables immediate environmental adjustments to sort of preserve grain quality over extended periods. And essentially this dynamic response helps to prevent molds, decay, and perhaps pest infestation in the short to medium term. So what happens is, upon grain delivery, the facility can automatically assess quality matrix like moisture content and direct produce to the appropriate storage compartment, as it were. But the bigger picture here is that the new silos are expected to significantly reduce post-harvest losses, which are estimated at about 30% of the harvest. And so the idea is to improve grain quality and boost farmer incomes. And for now, what we do know is that the Kwekwe depot is the first of 14 facilities that are undergoing modernization and expansion across the country.
Well, Eben Mavunda, our correspondent. Eben, thank you so much for breaking that down for us and making it much more simpler to understand. Now, still with agriculture, traditional grains have transformed the lives of farmers in Mutoko district, with Patricia Gatsari of Cornerstone Village serving as an example. The farmers are filled with optimism as the new VNS 401 sorghum seed produced by the University of Zimbabwe has proven to be climate resilient. Our reporter Mashudu Mambo, who was recently in Mutoko, gives us the following report.
In a country where climate change is also taking a toll on agriculture, farmers in Mutoko district are finding solace in traditional grains.
takashandisa mushonga werukoyi nemakupinda makonye ngakuruma mashizha mushonga wemakonye watakashandisa wenzi super dash.
The program, which is being spearheaded by the University of Zimbabwe in partnership with the government, aims to promote traditional grains and improve food security in the country. According to the farmers, the VNS 401 sorghum seed proved resilient during the recent dry spell, which decimated maize crops in many parts of the country.
Vanhu vachitokura nenzira vachiappreciate vachiti ndeuyu makaisa chinji. Ndine chimwe chandakayemura panguva yokutumbuka kwembeu iyi yakangotumbuka yese panguva imwe chete.
The program is part of UZ's heritage-based Learning 5.0. The University of Zimbabwe, in collaboration with the government, has managed to conduct a number of research programs which have yielded some positive results.
We have registered a company. Previously, our biotechnologists, which are Professor Gasura and team, would go into the lab, do all the gene manipulations, drought tolerance, pest resistance, and publish a paper. And that was the end. But now with Education 5.0, we said, just come out of that laboratory. You've come up with a product. Work with farmers, prove that it works. And I think you can all vouch for it. The University of Zimbabwe is right here in Mutoko.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Professor Obed Jiri, has praised the efforts by the University of Zimbabwe to develop climate-resilient seeds.
We are seeing great collaboration with the University of Zimbabwe, where the university has it commenced a few years ago research on traditional grains and future grains for Africa, particularly responding to climate change and climate variability. The issue of reduced rainfall, more erratic rainfall is real, and we are seeing that in natural regions 4, region 5, 5A and 5B, we can no longer grow the usual maize, and that is where we will now want our traditional grains, our future grains, to be predominantly grown in those areas.
Professor Jiri also urged farmers to adopt traditional grains to ensure food security and mitigate the impacts of climate change.
This is what we are encouraging our farmers to take heed of. Firstly, varieties that are commercially released, not to use retained seed even for traditional grains. Secondly, we are encouraging farmers to take the heed of the ecological matching and tailoring agenda, where we are saying what a farmer grows is determined by the agroecological region, not what the farmer requires.
Traditional grains offer a promising solution to the challenges facing Zimbabwe's agricultural sector. As the country continues to adapt to the impacts of climate change, initiatives like this will be crucial in ensuring food security and promoting sustainable agriculture. For ZTM Prime in Mudogo, I am Mashudu Mambo.
Now, when Newsplus comes back, we give you an update in regards to the power outages that have been experienced in some parts of the country. Stay with us.
The Phoenix Podcast has always brought you the best of the best.
I missed on that blessing, but I also regained it in some way.
In seasons 1 and 2, we introduced you to the industry's brightest stars, the ones at the top of their game, the creme de la creme. But season 3 promises to be even more exciting. We're bringing you even more fascinating guests, including the renowned farmer, Patrick Matadi. And to top it all off, our very own host, Ken Sharp, will be stepping out of the interviewer's chair and into the hot seat as he gets interviewed by a surprise guest host.
From the boss, we've been beaten, but we're not beaten yet. We can still rise.
Konapo Konapo, Ipapo Ipapo, ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be. Dental checkups, experiments, games.
The mixture is making bubbles and the bubbles have changed color. Our balloon has been filled by carbon dioxide.
We have it all right here on Happy Sprouts. Catch us exclusively on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294.
You're also watching Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, government says it will restore power supply normalcy by Wednesday. This was revealed by the Minister of Energy, July Moyo. He was speaking during a tour of the Highfield Zesa substation that was gutted by fire on Sunday night. The minister spoke about technical challenges at Wange Thermal Power Station that has seen a disrupted power supply.
We have been hit by two incidents which are unconnected. First, there was an incident in Wange where ZESA had to shut down 5 units which normally would be working, but Unit 5 has been out of service and is under repair, but the other 5 units were working, but because of an incident which occurred, ZESA felt it was better to stop operations there. So we lost all the power that normally comes from Unit 1 to 4 plus 6, the 6th unit.
Our correspondent, Tafara Sbochiwe, is at the ZESA Highfield substation to give us an update. Tafara, good evening to you. What is the update with the power situation in the country?
The Minister of Energy, July Moyes, confirmed to us that at least 5 units from the Hwange power station have gone down, and in another isolated event where we are at currently at the Highfield substation, there was a fire that destroyed critical equipment, resulting in the disruption of electricity supply, and the areas that are most affected, Willowville area, Glenora, Lokingva, and the surrounding industrial areas as well. And the Minister also informed us that by Wednesday they expect normalcy to be restored in as far as electricity supply is concerned.
Well, Tafara, thank you so much for that update. Our correspondent, Tafara Swochiwe, braving the chilly weather in Highfield to give us an update. Speaking of which, a cold spell experienced over the weekend and this morning in some parts of the country has left many questioning which time of the season we find ourselves in. Is winter already upon us? To help us understand that, we are joined by James Goma, Chief Forecaster with the Met Department. James, a very good evening to you. Now, does the cold spell experienced over the weekend indicate a start to the winter season?
Thank you very much for that question. Looking at the current period that we're in, we're currently in the intermediate period where we have both the experience of summer as well as winter. Given that aspects, the afternoons tend to be very warm and the evenings and early mornings tend to be very cold. So we've got the intermix of both the wintry cold in the morning and also the summer warmth in the afternoon with a few showers here and there. But however, as we approach winter, we expect the minimum temperatures, that's the morning temperatures, to become cooler and the daytime temperatures to also gradually reduce as the sun drifts further northwards of the equator, giving us the winter period as we get into the mid-May and early parts of June. But our coldest period comes in around the end of June into early July. So we expect the coldest conditions to be around Zimbabwe during that period. But for now, this current spell of cold that we had this morning was because of the removal of moisture from the atmosphere that was over the weekend. We had a lot of cloud over much of the country, but as we got into today, much of that cloud was removed overnight, where we had mostly clear skies, and that clearance of cloud led to the very cold morning conditions that we experienced today over much of the country. But moving forward, for much of this week, we're expecting a reduction in that cold, so it's going to get warmer in the mornings, but not very warm as we experienced during summer. It should be in the cool category. Today it was in the cold category for most areas, mostly below 10 degrees Celsius, but we expect it to get warmer in the days ahead.
Now, James, it is a Monday. That means we are kickstarting the week. What should we look forward to in terms of the weather going into the week?
So for the week ahead, we are expecting generally sunny skies across much of the country. It should get warmer during the daytime as we approach Friday, then cool down slightly over the weekend, where we're expecting just a 2-degree drop in most areas because of a cooling southeasterly. But it shouldn't give us much moisture, so we don't expect much in terms of cloud, just touches of cloud over areas such as Gonarejo as well as parts of Matabele and south into Bay Bridge area. The rest of the country should remain generally sunny, with that cooling wind causing also a decrease in our minimum temperatures. So we should get cooler conditions as we get into the weekend for much of the country.
James Goma there, the Chief Forecaster with the Met Department. James, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us that update. Please do stay warm and do stay safe. Now, the Victoria Falls Rainforest has seen an increase in tourist arrivals during the first quarter of 2025, recording a total of 61,139 compared to 59,718 during the same period in 2024. The increase has been attributed to a rise in international tourism, with international arrivals reaching 47,633, up from 44,110 the previous year. Domestic tourism experienced a decline from 15,608 in 2024 to 13,506 in 2025 rather. Now, to discuss this development, on standby we are joined by Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority spokesperson Tinashe Farao. Tinashe, good evening. What are some of the factors which have contributed to the surge or increase in tourist arrivals in Vic Falls?
I think the expansion of Victoria Falls International Airport contributed to this increase. If you look at the direct flights which are flying into Victoria Falls all over Europe and many of our source markets, so this has contributed mainly to this increase. And also we have a lot of tour packages right across Europe, especially after the appointment by government of tourist attaches in most of the source markets, United Kingdom, Germany, Ireland, and many other source markets where we are getting these tourists.
So what are some of the key source markets driving interest in Vic Falls?
We are getting a lot of tourists from Ireland, United Kingdom, and Germany, mainly from Europe. And for Germany in particular, there's a flight which flies directly into Victoria Falls from Frankfurt, and I think is also contributing. Regionally, we are having more tourists from South Africa, which has become our major source market for tourists. We are also getting many tourists from Botswana. And also, what has also contributed to the increase in these tourists is the introduction of Univisa. Now tourists can now enjoy both sides of the Victoria Falls from Zambia into Zimbabwe, and this has also contributed largely to this increase.
Now, we've talked about an increase in international tourism and regional tourism numbers, but there is a drop in domestic tourism figures. What led to this, and how best can these be improved?
What we are doing now, I think if you look at the numbers, there's been a dip in terms of domestic tourism. But what we are now doing is to work with programs, for example, Stay Now and Pay Later, which we are trying to do with some local banks, so that at least the tourists can enjoy and then they can pay later. I think it's also some of the packages that we are working on to make sure that we increase our domestic tourism.
Tinashe Farao with Zim Parks joining us to give us an update in regards to those tourism numbers. Tinashe, thank you. Now, we know on a beat to improve healthcare access for the marginalized Dumola community in rural Kariba, Padenga Holdings, a stock exchange listed company, has launched a free medical outreach program. Let's get the details.
The outreach program, which started earlier this week, provided the elderly and vulnerable members of the community with access to free medical services, supplies, and personal consultations with professional doctors. The Mola community, located 70 kilometers south of Kariba town, relies heavily on 4 clinics staffed by registered nurses. The community faces significant healthcare challenges, which Padenga's initiative seeks to address. Sister in charge at Mola Clinic, Mr. Brighton Chalivanda, said there was need to equip the rural health facility with X-ray machine to cater for the population.
At least then in relation to this program again, besides kuuya kumachiremba general practitioners paito like departments akata say dental department, then in X-ray department, so that everyone will benefit.
The introduction of a medical doctor and the provision of supplies aims to significantly address the healthcare challenges faced by many in the area.
Mainly our chosen areas are in the field of health and education, where we are complementing government efforts. So far, in terms of complementing on the health sector, we noticed that the community that we live in has no direct, easy access to hospitals, healthcare. So what we're doing is we're bringing in a medical doctor regularly to the community.
Padenga's initiative aligns with the President Mnangagwa's call for private sector involvement in the bridging the urban-rural divide. The company's efforts aim to ensure that no place or person is left behind.
Now, Kimberly Chimbalanga has the latest from today's court proceedings.
Two men who have been trending for allegedly sexually abusing socialite Mai Jeremiah, real name Ashley Tatenda Masendeke, have been remanded in custody. The two are alleged to have lured the socialite to a secluded place in Harare's Eastleigh suburb on pretext of shooting an advert for their company. They allegedly took turns to rape her and threatened her with death. The state consented to bail, but the magistrate asked the state to substantiate their consent in ruling. They were remanded in custody to 7 May for bail ruling. Moving on, Hatenso Broadcasting Services, being represented by Olga Kumbirai Muteiwa, has been dragged to court for allegedly transmitting videos that incite violence. It is the state's case that Blessed Mshlanga, who is already in custody and an employee of the accused, attended a press conference by one Blessed Runesu Geza. Geza made statements inciting violence. The accused is said to have transmitted, broadcasted, and distributed inciting messages and videos. The accused was challenging his placement on remand, citing that the allegations are baseless as the company is mandated to interview anyone and publish information. Still at the courts, 3 more men linked to the armed robbery that occurred at Alpha Omega Farm belonging to businessman Wiknau Chivayo's in-laws have appeared in court. They were advised to approach the High Court for bail application and to return to court on 20 May for co-joining with other accused persons. For TN Prime, I'm Kimberly Chimbalanga in Harare.
Newsplus will be back shortly. Stay with us.
Stuck on you. Ooh, obsessed with you. I'm obsessed.
With Showmax, your favorite characters now follow you anywhere. Download it today and watch the best in local, international, and everything in between.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoilt.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Now look at news from around the world. We start off in Rwanda. Rwanda is in the early stage of talks with the Trump administration to accept migrants deported by the US. The East African country's Foreign Affairs Minister, Oliver Nduguye, said this after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that Washington was actively searching for countries that would take in some of the most despicable human beings. Nduhungirehe said that the talks were not new to us, as Rwanda had previously agreed to accept migrants deported by the UK. However, the UK abandoned the scheme, which faced numerous legal challenges after a new government took office last July. In Israel, Israel's security cabinet has approved a plan to expand its military offensive against Hamas, which reportedly includes capturing Gaza and holding the territory. The Israeli military has called up tens of thousands of reservists in preparation for the move, saying it is increasing the pressure with the aim of bringing home the remaining Israeli hostages and defeating Hamas. Reports indicate that the plan will only be implemented after U.S. President Donald Trump's visit to the region next week. Now in Brazil, beef exports are feeling the pinch of sweeping tariffs by the U.S., according to an industry insider in a recent interview with some Chinese television network. U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered sweeping tariffs on a wide range of countries since taking office, and in early April, he imposed a 10% minimum base tariff on all imports before unveiling higher rates on certain trading partners. Brazil is one of the world's largest beef exporters. According to the Brazilian Association of Meat Exporting Industries, the country exported 2.89 million tons of beef in 2024.
E acho que toda a economia vive momento de incerteza muito grande. Todos ainda aguardam os desdobramentos, né, dessas políticas dos Estados Unidos, porque não sabemos ainda qual será o desfecho, né, em que momento isso será resolvido.
Now, Yemeni Prime Minister Ahmed Awad bin Mubarak resigned on Saturday, with Finance Minister Salem Saleh bin Barik named as his successor. In his resignation statement, bin Mubarak expressed difficulties in reshuffling the government and exercising his powers for necessary reforms. His departure highlights the persistent challenges Yemen faces, including ongoing conflict with Houthi forces and economic instability. Prior to his resignation, 18 cabinet ministers had called for his removal, indicating significant divisions within the government.
تغيير الوجوه ليس هو الحل المناسب ولا الحقيقي لتجاوز الوضع الاقتصادي الراهن، لأن تجاوز الوضع الراهن معتمد اعتمادا كليا بالمعنيين المسيطرين على الأرض في عدن، سواء كانوا الإماراتيين أو حتى السعوديين، يعني بطريقة غير مباشرة، وبالتالي تغيير الوجوه لا يعني تغيير الوضع الاقتصادي.
بالنسبة لتغيير الحكومة أو تغيير رئيس الوزراء فهذا شيء لم يعد يعنينا، يعني الوضع زي ما تقول لم يفيدنا، لأننا فقدنا الثقة بالحكومة، فقدنا الثقة بالقيادات اللي تمسك البلاد من الجانب الاقتصادي من جميع الجوانب، فتغيير الحكومة تغيير شكلي.
Meanwhile, a missile launched by Yemen's Houthi forces struck Israel's Ben Gurion airport on Sunday, injuring at least 8 people and causing damage. Footage circulating on social media showed the missile hitting a road leading to Terminal 3, the airport's main terminal for international travel, with a large cloud of black smoke rising overhead. Other media reported that the missile created a crater dozens of meters wide and deep. The missile strike occurred just a few hundred meters from the terminal. The resulting debris, along with scattered rocks and soil, spread across a large area of the airport, damaging numerous vehicles and causing considerable destruction. The crater has since been filled in, and airport operations have since returned to normal. And now we give you some business news.
Warm up, get cozy, and shake off the winter chill with ZTN Prime's sizzling new shows. First up, we visit tiny spaces and hang out with the little ones on Happy Sprouts. This latest addition to the ZTN Kids block shows off talent and fun school events across Zimbabwe. Be sure to also catch more fun on Magic Adventures, The Crystal Dark, and Chi Chi Ping Ping Fantasy Adventure. The dynamic suspects of Zimbabwean comedy are back to better your evenings. Laugh out loud with family and friends on Timi Nechikwata.
Security! Call security! This is a disaster!
And our new game show, Game Changers Zimbabwe, refreshes your night viewing. Learn all about starting your business. With sharp contestants and a panel of celebrity executives, the show holds much for you.
For $50,000, you have to have a game-changing idea.
We are here asking for $50,000 in return of 30%.
Started this journey with only $23.50.
Don't miss another one of our reality shows, Heartbeats, shot straight from hospital theaters. Get face-to-face with top cardiothoracic surgeons as they perform open heart surgery. Dig into our menu of intriguing programming, which also comes with new and exciting episodes of Village Court, Munava Mune, Drug Haven, Sungura Chronicles, Most Wanted, exclusive interviews, and many more. Come along, grab a hot cuppa and enjoy ZTN Prime's new season programming.
Now look at business news tonight. Pro Plastics Limited, one of Zimbabwe's leading plastic product manufacturers, has started the year on a positive note, reporting a 3% rise in revenue for the first quarter of 2025. The company's revenue climbed to $4.263 million against $4.123 million achieved in the prior period, signaling steady growth despite ongoing economic challenges. Analysts say that the modest increase reflects ProPlastic's resilience and strategic focus. Morgan & Co. Head of Research Tafaram Tutu attributed the marginal growth to residential developments.
That marginal growth, it only stands to reason that the key driving factor has been the private sector. And when you look into the private sector, most of that growth is coming from residential developments. We've seen a lot of people converting large tracts of land, especially in the northern suburbs of Harare, and even farms farms that are in the peripheries of other smaller towns in the country. We've seen those pieces of land being converted into cluster development. And with that comes infrastructure development for your waterworks, sewer, pipe, etc., etc. And I think that has been the key driving factor to that marginal growth in ProPlastics in the first quarter.
Looking ahead, ProPlastics is well positioned to tap into new opportunities and expand its footprint in the evolving plastics manufacturing sector. According to Mtutu, anticipated improved electricity supply from Kariba, Wange and IPPS is set to improve ProPlastics production efficiency.
I don't think there has been a marginal material change in their production costs. But no, not but. And I think that going forward, it could actually improve when you're looking at the electricity supply trend in Zimbabwe, where we're expecting more from Kariba post La Nina, and also improved supply from Wange power stations, and also that the small but growing improvement in supply from IPPs.
Still in business, Zimbabwe's exports increased by 13.5% in March 2025 to $581.9 million, demonstrating the country's economic resilience against domestic and external headwinds, improved productivity, and the evolving trade dynamics. The growth also reflects the positive impact of sectoral reforms, government's export promotion initiatives, and robust mineral output. According to the Zimbabwe National Statistics Agency, Zimstat, March 2025 exports amounted to $581.9 million, an increase of 13.5%, equaling $69.3 million from the February 2025 value of $512.6 million. Now, financial literacy is the cornerstone of smart economic decision-making. It refers to the ability to understand and effectively manage personal and business finances, from budgeting and saving to investing, borrowing, and planning for the future. In a world of rising costs, digital finance, and complex credit systems, being financially literate is essential for long-term stability and success. Speaking today on ZTN Prime's program, The Mint, Alfonso Tinashe Maketo, an author, entrepreneur, and stock enthusiast, said most Zimbabweans have lost confidence in the banking sector, which is why people are being robbed of thousands of dollars. Speaking on that same show, Charity Moyo, a mining consultant, said that whenever one decides to be on the credit space, one needs to understand that all the terms and conditions.
I would say that whenever anyone decides to jump into the credit space, for example, if you say that you want to borrow money, there's a lot of thought process that you need to put into. You need to understand all the terms and conditions. You also need to understand your business. Why are you borrowing? How much money do you exactly need? Because you might find that in some of these informal settings, you can go there and say you want to borrow, for instance, $2,000, and then they'll give you $1,500. Don't take the $1,500 because you need $2,000. Who's going to breach the $500? Mind you, the $1,500 loan that you're going to get, it is still going to be charged those high interest rates. Meanwhile, you needed 2,000 US dollars. So I think that if one decides that they want to borrow, it has to be a decision that is well thought out, well calculated.
And now for some entertainment news.
It's time for the main event. This is incredible. He has written it, and the dream lives on. I cannot believe it.
Stay connected to DSTV this April and May and get all the football finals you want.
What did you get up to this weekend? We now ease off the Monday blues when we give you some highlights from some of the major entertainment events from the first weekend of May.
Afrofusion musician Bewu took his act to Gokwe for a show dubbed The Invasion by Public Demand. The Modi Tribe frontman also shared the stage with Endi Murizo, bringing Gokwe to life. The ladies in Kadoma were out to party on Saturday as Duke and Slay was being hosted in the small town. Clad in their vintage outfits, the ladies were treated to some great performances by rising star Oriano and the Travelers Band. Sulumani Chimbetu was at Sherwood Golf Club, his usual playing ground, where he sampled his latest album. The Dendera King is currently riding high with his latest album, Tsapo. The big one for the weekend was at Alex Park Sports Club, where Japoriza launched his much-awaited album, Dini Mukudze. Despite logistical delays, the launch was a resounding success, with the star performing to a full house.
Zimbabwe's beauty queen Courtney Jongwe is gearing up to represent the nation on one of the world's grandest stages, the 72nd Miss World pageant, set for the 31st of May in Telangana, India. Radiant with pride and purpose, Jongwe left Zimbabwe for India earlier today. Having earned her crown at the Miss World Zimbabwe Finals in Harare last year, Jongwe will join contestants from over 100 countries, each sharing their own stories of purpose and progress. Still entertainment news, the Comic-Con Cape Town 2025 concluded in South Africa on Sunday after 4 days of celebration of pop culture and gaming among cosplayers, gaming enthusiasts and comic book aficionados from across the world. The third edition of the event gathered international exhibitors and visitors at the Cape Town International Convention Center, featuring a diverse array of entertainment, shopping opportunities, exclusive merchandise and interactive panels for guests to engage their fans. Through the Comic-Con, global exhibitors have seen the growth potential of South Africa's animation industry, fueled by increasing investments in creative content and global demand.
The market in South Africa is quite small at the moment. I think it's because we haven't expanded yet. We're quite new, we're only 4 months old, but we can see that there's a very big interest obviously in it. So I think there's definitely a market for it and you can definitely expand a lot more, especially if we get new designs in.
When we started off with one country, for instance, now we've got half a dozen countries that are all coming in because they know that Africa is the future. It's got a very young population and obviously then there's massive retail opportunities.
And now we take a look at some sporting action.
Welcome back, gospel music lovers, to another season of My Ultimate Gospel 10. Your ultimate destination for soul-stirring melodies and inspirational stories.
But prepare me for a good day.
God is faithful because He's holy.
Like, wow, this is beautiful.
Each week, they'll be revealing their top 10 gospel songs. Meet Miss Becky K, the dynamic and passionate new presenter for Season 3.
If you are ready, let's get into My Ultimate Gospel 10.
Premiering soon, only on ZTN Prime. Stay tuned and let the music uplift your soul.
In our look at sport this evening, we start off with some rugby. The Zimbabwe senior national rugby team began their 2025 season on a high, beating Zambia 70-15 in a test match at Harare Sports Club on Sunday. Despite conceding the first point of the match, the Sables wasting no time asserting their dominance, romping to victory in front of a packed Harare Sports Club. Sables captain Hilton Mudariki was happy to get their season started on a good note and is looking forward to their upcoming fixtures, including a home test against Botswana this weekend.
Yeah, very happy with the results. I think I'm super happy with the way the guys played, the way that we stayed in the fight. We knew that we were going to have to weather the first 15-20 minutes. Zambia kept coming. They're a team that never goes away, but I'm super proud of the guys in the way that they stayed within the game and they fought right their way through. I think positives, the guys that made their debuts really stepped up. We've been speaking about building depth within the squad over the last couple of months. So for those guys to come into the team and step up the way they did, super proud of them. Negatives, I think our discipline let us down. Too many penalties, a couple of cards as well. Something that we have to rectify in the next couple of weeks.
Now, some football, the Green Machine is grinding through gears, and it's Ian Bakala who's stepping into the hot seat while club legend Lloyd Chitebwe is shuffled out of the dugout. In a dramatic turn of events, Caps United have announced a major shakeup in their technical team, with former midfielder maestro Ian Bakala returning as assistant coach and Chitebwe redeployed as technical director. A new head coach will be unveiled on Thursday as the Harare Giants scramble to fix a disastrous start to the season that sees them hovering just above relegation in 15th place, a far cry from their title-chasing glory days. The bold overhaul is a clear vote of no confidence in Chitebwe's reign on the touchline, but the club insists that his experience is still needed, just not in the dugout. Still in football, Moors extended their unbeaten run to 10 matches with a 1-0 away win to Chicken Inn at Luveve on Sunday. Nigel Martina was on target with a well-taken goal, which kept the Panthers at the top of the table. Moors led the standings with 22 points from 10 matches, but head coach Lloyd Mutaza is not getting carried away with their early season form.
Yeah, I think it was another tricky encounter. Playing against a seasoned Chicken Inn, it's never easy. But the good part is from the few chances that we created, we managed to score one, and that made the difference. Obviously, the challenge is big, but I would want to say glory be to God. I think we're not doing this on our own. You remember how we managed to get into the elite league. It wasn't easy, and the youngsters are very much inspired by that move of being there after having a lot of challenges. I think it was a top-notch goal, a great goal, and the technique was there, the accuracy, and it's one of the best goals that I've seen so far this season. I think we did made it clear the vision of the team is to stay afloat, and staying afloat is the target.
Chicken Inn have struggled to stay in front of goal, scoring just 3 goals in 10 matches so far. Assistant coach Fungai Kwashi insists they are working to solve the crisis, while also expressing his frustration at some decisions which have not gone their way.
Yes, we didn't get the goals today. What we can only do is look forward, keep working hard, keep trying to find solutions to get the goals coming. But I feel, guys, if Zimbabwean football has to go to levels of top football, we need to change a lot of things, especially in some of these decisions which are being made. Right now, I'm scared to even say the wrong words, because if I say the wrong words, I'm going to get fined, and I don't want to get a fine. If you remember, there's an interview I did at Yada, a similar situation whereby, guys, football is our life. Everyone loses, it's part of the game. But losing in what manner? Even if it's you, Mr. Tandezani, let's be honest, that was a blatant penalty there in the box. Everyone saw it. But I'm not going to say anyone's name, or I'm not going to try to offend the people who are above me.
Scotland beat Dynamos 1-0 at Rufaro on Sunday to move to second place in the PSL. Machope got the only goal of the match as Scotland recorded back-to-back wins to move within 3 points of leaders Moors. Rentals beat Triangle 2-1 as matchday 10 in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League concluded this Monday afternoon. Here is a recap of the action.
In there, cross comes in, flicked on there, the chance there, and it is a goal! Quite ricocheted off the upright, and then the last touch, of course, into the goal. 1-0 to Herentals there. Petey with the last touch there. Herentals finally get the opener here at Rufaro Stadium.
30th minute.
Have a look at the replay there. We're with the corner there. Sort of juggling in there. And ricochets off the upright, and Petey was the most alert. First to the ball. Blessing Petey.
Mawanza blocked it. Here's Chimbetu again doing well in this right back roll, and it's 2! Herentals go 2 up. It could be game over now, unless Triangle can do something spectacular. Chimbetu, that's a lovely cross. Final third, Muchengete. Mwea clears it to safety. Pedra. Ash and I have been impressed with him. And that's going to give us a long effort. Oh, what a fantastic goal that is! What a fantastic goal from Tyler Mugoniwa.
In some cricket news, Zimbabwe cricket fast bowler Blessing Mzarabani has been nominated for the ICC Men's Player of the Month for April 2025. Mzarabani made history in April, becoming the first Zimbabwean to take 6 wickets in 3 consecutive test matches, reaching 50 wickets in just 11 tests, equaling hit streak's national record for the fastest to 50 test wickets. Still with cricket, Skandaraza is back in Zimbabwe's test squad for their 4-day test against England, which is set to be played in Nottingham from the 22nd of May to the 25th. The all-rounder returns after franchise T20 commitments led him to miss the Bulawayo test against Ireland in February and the recently concluded 2-day test series in Bangladesh. Raza replaces Jonathan Campbell in the 15-man squad that toured Bangladesh, while Clive Madande returns from injury, replacing Nyasha Mayawo as backup wicketkeeper to Tafadzwa Tsiga. With English conditions in mind, Zimbabwe have left out leg spinner Vincent Masekesa, who picked up a 5-wicket haul on debut in Chattogram and strengthened their seam attack with the inclusion of Newman Nyamuri. And that's all we had for you on Newsplus this Monday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaude. We leave you with a forecast. Good evening and pleasant viewing.